Welcome to Behind the Recipe. I'm your host, Christina Hitchcock. Join me every week as we dive into the joys of cooking, explore kitchen tips and tricks, and share delicious recipes that will inspire your next meal. So, whether you're a seasoned cook or just learning your way around the stove, there is something here for everyone. Now, before we dig in, have you seen my new site, cakemixrecipes.com? It's loaded with fast, foolproof, sweet and savory recipes made with packaged cake mixes and other pantry staples. It's sweet, simple, and totally worth a peek. Check it out after the show. Okay, so today we are talking about something that has saved me so many times. It's my freezer. Not the back of the freezer mystery meals, not the icy leftovers that you forget about. I'm talking about smart, strategic freezer meals, recipes that freeze well, reheat beautifully, and give you real dinner options when your energy is gone and your schedule is packed. I like to refer to these kind of as cheater meals because they are ready to go. There is really no effort in them other than remembering to take them out and thaw them. But this episode is packed with everything you need to know about freezer cooking, from how to freeze food the right way to how to reheat it without the sogginess, plus my go-to list of freezer staples that work like a charm. So let's dive in. We've all had nights where we're just too tired to cook. Like, I think tonight is one of them. But having a freezer of full of ready to go meals, that's like future proofing yourself and giving you like that get out of jail free card, right? Freezer meals save time, they reduce food waste, and they let you cook when it works for you, not just when the clock is saying that it's dinner time. So I find them to be extremely helpful for busy weeknights, sick days, last minute guests, and night when takeout really isn't in the budget. And you don't have to make this a production where you're making 20 casseroles at once. Just start small, cook once, freeze half. That's it. Super, super simple. So, what are some things that freeze well? Let's talk about that. These categories are really your freezer's best friends. First, you have soups and stews. So super simple. Things like chicken noodle, vegetable soup, minestrone, chili, lentil soups. These are great options for the freezer. Now, cream-based soups can freeze, but you have to reheat them very, very gently to avoid curdling. So keep that in mind. So that's any cream-based soup. Casseroles and bakes are another category that freezes very, very well. Things like baked ziti, lasagna, enchiladas, that's a family favorite around here, and shepherd's pie, chicken and rice bakes, tuna noodle casserole. They all freeze very, very well. I even make my famous leftover Thanksgiving casserole because let's face it, by Saturday, we're all tired of Thanksgiving food. So I make the casseroles and throw them in the freezer so that, maybe in the summer we can have a taste of Thanksgiving without any of the effort. Another thing that freezes very, very well are cooked proteins. So shredded chicken or pork, meatballs, ground beef or turkey that's already been cooked, whether it's seasoned or plain. So you can do some up as taco meat or just do it plain and have it ready to go for things like sloppy joes and meals like that. Pasta sauces and broths, marinara, Alfredo, taco sauce, enchilada sauce. They all freeze beautifully. Same thing with broths, chicken, beef, veggie broth. They're all great. So when you open up that package of stock or broth, that store-bought package, and you have just a little bit left, throw it in the freezer. Measure it out in 1 cup portions, put it in a zipper bag, and throw it in the freezer. Use it at a later time. Breakfasts are another freezer staple in this house. So pancakes, waffles, breakfast burritos. I always have those on hand. Muffins, mini frittatas, baked oatmeal. They all freeze up great. And then one of my favorite go-tos, because everybody forgets about the sides, but things like cooked rice or quinoa or couscous, those cook a big batch at once and then freeze them up in single serving portions, and you're ready to go on a busy weeknight. Snacks and sides, garlic bread, cooked beans, mashed potatoes freeze great. Cookie dough scoops that are already portioned out and ready to bake on demand, right? You just want one cookie, just grab one and bake it. Portion control at its finest. Okay, so we talked a bit about why to freeze and what to freeze. Let's talk about how to freeze properly. So, you made something delicious. We want to make sure you're freezing it the right way so that when you go to eat it later, it actually tastes good. So, the first thing to do is to cool it completely. Never freeze hot food. It creates condensation and ice crystals. So, really let your food cool to room temperature before freezing it. You also want to use airtight containers like zip top freezer bags. I like to lay them flat to save space. So you can do that and they stack up nicely on top of each other. Just remember to write on them before you start filling them so that your marker actually writes properly on the bag. Foil pans for casseroles. So I always have a stock of these. So if I'm making something like enchiladas or lasagna, I could just make one in a foil pan, make one for dinner and one in a foil pan, and then the foil pan goes right in the freezer. Of plastic or glass containers with tight lids. The one thing I like to go to the restaurant supply store and get the quart and the pint plastic containers. Those are fantastic. And use parchment or wax paper between layers if you're stacking things. The next thing you want to do is label everything, right? You might think you're going to remember what's in that bag or when you put it in the freezer. You're not. Write on it exactly what it is and the date that you made it and froze it. And a bonus if you include the reheating instructions so that when you take it out, it's super simple, especially if your kids want to help you get dinner ready. And then freeze in usable portions. So we are a small family of three. I can't freeze I mean, I could. I wouldn't freeze a giant lasagna because it will take us forever to eat it. However, I usually make half portions for us and freeze them that way. So we have just the servings we need. And you can use individual or half size pans for flexibility. So, one thing I used to do, make some prepackaged meals for my grandmother when she was getting older so that she had dinner already made for her. So, I would get the round aluminum foil cake pans. And that was the perfect portion for my grandmother and my grandfather. So I would put a casserole in that pan and freeze it for them and stock their freezer full of things in that size because I knew it was the perfect size for them to reheat, eat, and then finish it completely in one setting. So you want to think about that, about, making it in usable portions so that you don't have a lot of leftovers. So let's talk about reheating those leftovers. We've all had the soggy pizza or watery, boring casseroles, but it doesn't have to be that way. So when it comes to casseroles, you want to either reheat them from frozen, so directly from frozen, or thaw them overnight. I prefer to thaw things overnight, and an easy way to remember to do this is on my meal plan. I have a meal plan that I hang on my refrigerator, and right on that meal plan, if I'm planning to eat a frozen meal on Wednesday, on Tuesday, I will put on there to take it out of the freezer. Sometimes I'll even put it there on Monday, depending on how long it's going to take to thaw. So you also want to make sure with a casserole when you're reheating it that you cover it with foil for most of the bake time and then just uncover it towards the end so that it can crisp up and that top can get done properly. And you may need to add a little bit more moisture to the casserole to prevent it from drying out. It really depends on what you're making. So if there's not a lot of liquid in the recipe, you might need to add a little bit more moisture. Now, when it comes to soups and stews, these are super easy. You just reheat them nice and slow on the stove. You need to make sure that you're stirring them regularly so that they don't separate on you. And sometimes they thicken too much, right? If we have a soup that has a pasta in it, for example, or a rice, they may have thickened a lot. You might have to add some more broth to it to thin it out and to make it worthwhile. So that's kind of, when you're storing soups that have rice or um, pasta, that pasta and rice tends to absorb a lot of that liquid and you have to add more. If you're freezing rice and grains, when you reheat it, you want to put a damp paper towel over the top because that helps keep the moisture in as you're reheating it in the microwave. And you want to microwave it in short bursts and stir in between. So instead of putting it in for 2 or 3 minutes, do it like 45 seconds stir, 45 seconds stir, and just kind of keep going that way. Always with the damp paper towel on top. If you have cooked meats that you're trying to reheat, you want to do that again gently. Cover it in a skillet or in the oven, and you want to cover it because you want to retain that moisture that's in there. You don't want that moisture to evaporate off. And if you do see it getting a little bit dry, you can add some sauce or broth to really help keep it juicy and moist. Breads and baked goods, so delicious when you toast them in a low oven. I don't ever microwave bread because it gets rubbery and really tough. So I like to do that in an oven. And if you have breakfast items, you can wrap them in foil and bake them at 350 until they're warmed through. You can also not wrap them in foil and pop them in the microwave. That is a great way to reheat things like burritos. And I love pancakes and waffles right from the toaster. So I pop those bad boys right in the toaster. I love how the edges get a little bit crispy from the toaster, but the insides are nice and tender. So here's what's on my freezer staple list. These are things that I always keep stocked because they bail me out more than anything else. Uh, Shredded rotisserie chicken. So if I have leftovers from that, I right in the freezer it goes. It's labeled cooked taco meat. That is a no-brainer. I mean, there's so many things you can do with that. Meatballs. And if I'm going to go through the frustration of making a meatball and hand rolling them, I'm going to do a double or a triple batch every single time so that I have extras left. Frozen shrimp is another one. It's great to keep on hand because it is such a quick cooking protein. I also keep many of my bases in the freezer. So cooked white and brown rice. I always make a triple or quadruple batch of that so that I have it on hand in the freezer. Frozen pasta, you want to cook it until it's just under done, not fully done, and then you can reheat it and reconstitute it back in some boiling water. And then flatbreads or naan are another great frozen staple to keep. Veggies. I like to keep stir fry vegetables on hand. So if I stock up on peppers, onions, pea pods, things like that, thinly sliced carrots, I'll put that in a mix in a bag and throw it in the freezer. Chopped spinach is great for soups and sauces. And then broccoli, corn, and bell peppers freeze beautifully. So, this is something I like to do in the summer months when you can get all those great finds from the farmer's market, or if you're lucky enough to have your own garden, you can pull it from there. Then we have the ready meals, right? These are things that you've already cooked or baked, and they're full meals ready to go. Baked ziti, lasagna, any of those pasta bakes are great to make ahead. So, again, if you're going through the trouble to make one, make a second one and throw it in the freezer. So super simple. Soups, another thing I always make double or triple batches of because I know it freezes so well and it's so easy to thaw and heat. Same thing with breakfast burritos. If you're going through the trouble, you might as well make extras and wrap them and label them. Sauces. I always have extra sauce in my freezer. Homemade marinara, pesto, curry sauces, anything like that. I keep my grated cheese in the freezer because it will last longer and not get that icky green mold. Garlic butters or really any kind of compound butter is great to keep in the freezer. And then sweet treats, things like cookie dough balls. Like I said before, you could just pop one or two of them in if you have a sweet tooth that you need to address right away. That's a great way to do it. Muffins are a good thing for the freezer because they thaw nicely. And brownie batter, you can freeze that. Okay, so here's how I would go about building a week of meals from the freezer. So Monday night, I might have some frozen taco meat and then pair that with some tortillas and frozen corn, and you've got a taco night done. Tuesday, I might do soup with garlic bread and then just grab a salad kit from the store. Super simple. Wednesday, thaw a baked ziti right from the freezer and serve it with that frozen broccoli. Dinner's done. Thursday, I would do maybe a rice bowl with the frozen rice and some frozen shrimp, some of those stir fry veggies, and a bottled sauce. Perfect. Friday night, breakfast for dinner, because who doesn't love that? Reheat some of those breakfast burritos and serve it with a fruit smoothie that is made from leftover frozen fruits in the freezer. Saturday, you could do a mini meatball sub using frozen meatballs and frozen sauce. And then Sunday, leftovers. I always have a leftover day. Always, always, always. Leftovers or soup and grilled cheese using some of the freezer cheese that we talked about and bread. So, one last thought. Now, the freezer isn't a place where food should go to be forgotten about, out of sight, out of mind. You should think of it as your backup plan, really your safety net, right? At 6 p.m., this is your lifesaver when you turn and go, oh my God, what are we going to have for dinner? Well, if you have that Ziploc bag full of soup in there, dinner's done. So start small. Freeze about half of what you make. Label it, stack it, and know that when the day goes off the rails, dinner's already done. But the important part of this is I always like to keep a list on my freezer of what's in there so that when I'm meal planning for the week, I can look and see what's already done. Because if we have a particularly busy night or a day when I know I'm going to be running around and not able to focus on dinner, I know I can grab one of my savior meals right from the freezer. You're not cutting corners, you're really cooking smart. And honestly, what's better than pulling a homemade meal out of the freezer and knowing that your past self took care of your future self? It's perfect. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Behind the Recipe. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and picked up a few tips or recipes to try in your kitchen. And if you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course, share it with someone who loves food. And don't forget to check out my new site, cakemixrecipes.com. It's full of easy, sweet, and savory recipes made with prepackaged mixes and pantry staples. Until next time, happy cooking, and remember, everything's better when shared in the kitchen.